judge is being prosecuted by the FBI for sheltering someone that ICE was trying to detain. Do you have any thoughts about that Wisconsin judge?
Well, I think it's horrible. I think the whole thing is horrible with judges, with what's going on, and they shouldn't be doing that. That's very dangerous territory. And we have to be able to do what I ran on. I ran on a campaign of taking criminals out of our country, murderers, drug dealers, people that are insane, moved out of insane asylums and mental institutions. These are insane people. And I won on the fact that we're going to be doing this. We have to be allowed to do it. Otherwise, we're not going to have a country any longer. Thank you very much.
Indicted a state prosecutor. I indicted a prosecutor. And I got a summons because I didn't want to make a spectacle. They made a spectacle of this case.
Well, they announced it on X as well, and then deleted it, but announced it on X.
Why wouldn't you want to make a spectacle of it? I mean, the fact of the matter is, there are liberal Democrat elected officials, not all judges, some are mayors and others, all over this country who have said repeatedly since Donald Trump became the president that they would like to obstruct his principles and his program when it comes to deporting illegal immigrants. Here you have this person. If these facts are proven true, obviously that's exactly what she was trying to do here. Why wouldn't you want to make...
Let me respond to that.
Why? Because...
You asked me a question, let me respond.
Well, let me tell you my view. The spectacle is important because a message has to be sent to everybody else. We're not going to put up... You've been elected by people to uphold the law, and some of the laws that have been most flagrantly violated in this country are immigration laws. You've got to get on board with upholding all the laws, not just the ones you like.
Scott.
Another day, another bad look for the Democratic Party. As you saw from the intro, a Wisconsin judge, and a couple of judges actually were caught and actually arrested for holding illegals that ICE was looking for. Make it make sense, Democratic Party. Make it make sense. The Democratic Party are showing you every day. Their actions speak very loud about who their priorities are. Democrats, you do not represent the interests of the American people. Hey, debate that with me in the comment section, Democrat voter, if you happen to watch this video. Democrats do not stand for the interests of the American people. They stand for the interests of themselves. Democrats benefit when illegals are in this country because they could use illegals as reasons to give them more government money. You see a lot of these immigration shelters, these immigration clinics that's supposed to be helping illegals. They get taxpayer money to justify their existence. They use illegals for that. They use illegals to be counted as part of their census to gain voting power in their state, to give Democratic voters more disproportional weight on the congressional, on the electoral college, on the electoral system, because they have a bigger population numbers. Even though their American population has not grown, its foreign influence have grown in the country by allowing illegals in these sanctuary cities to come to their state. This is how they benefit from there. And they know, they have the data too, that if they have somehow get the illegals the right to vote, the odds are in their favor that they'll vote for the Democratic Party.
So I was updating my address for a registration for a motorcycle I own, and the first thing it says, do you want to register to vote? Are you a citizen? Yep, and you got to prove it and fill it all out. What the hell's the problem with this?
Right. Proof of citizenship to vote is something that 90% of America agrees with, Republican or Democrat. It's something that should be required. We know that the only way that Democrats can win elections is they need illegals to vote in them. And that's why they're so adamant about the tens of millions of illegals staying in our country so that they don't want voter ID and they don't want proof of citizenship. So illegals can vote. That's how they win.
So this benefits the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party do not match the interests of the American people, so much so that they have to import voters into the country. That's how bad the Democratic Party conflicts with the American interest. And I can keep getting tired of this story that they keep trying to push recently this week. And it's gonna be the new Maryland man talk. Now they're switching over to, oh my God, children got separated from their moms, or American child got deported with illegal mom. You hear it all. Here's Marco Rubio pushing back on that narrative.
Is it the U.S. policy to deport children, even U.S. citizens, with their families, and I hear what you're saying, without due process? Just to be very clear there.
Well, No. Again, if someone's in this country unlawfully, illegally, that person gets deported. If that person is with a 2-year-old child or has a 2-year-old child and says, I want to take my child with me, well, then you have two choices. You can say, yes, of course you can take your child, whether they're a citizen or not, because it's your child. Or you can say, yes, you can go, but your child must stay behind. And then your headlines would read, U.S. holding hostage 2-year-old, 4-year-old, 7-year-old while mother deported. So the parents make that choice. I imagine those 3 U.S. citizen children have fathers here in the United States. Yeah. They can stay with their father. That's up to their family to decide where the children go. Children go with their parents. Parents decide where their children go. Right. The U.S. deported their mothers who were illegally in America.
When it comes to immigration enforcement, there is no doubt that Donald Trump has been successful. We can slice it any way we want to, but Joe Biden having an open border policy caused a lot of problems in this nation, particularly the psyche of American citizens. You cannot have folks crossing the border illegally in an undocumented fashion, thinking that that is going to bode well for American citizens. Whether it's courtesy of $53 million in prepaid credit cards that were doled out by the Adams administration, the mayor of New York, whether it's Gavin Newsom in the state of California, indicating that there's some debt issues with Medicare because of the money that you spent on illegal immigration, whether it's crimes in the streets, whether it's the perception that the streets are unsafe in the streets of America simply because of an immigration problem. You cannot have that. And the fact that Trump rolled up in there and cleaned this stuff up, prioritizing border control, definitely is going to be perceived as a plus, whether Democrats and others like it or not.
And here's a very plain way to explain it. No, Trump didn't deport a 2-year-old citizen. He deported her mother, an illegal alien who had full custody of her minor child. No, Trump is not arresting judges because he doesn't agree with. The DOJ is arresting judges who break federal immigration law and try to help fugitives escape. You're entitled to your own opinion. You're not entitled to your own set of facts. Mainstream media for you, but look how they're covering it. And I have this interesting interview that I want to talk about with Chris Cuomo, who, his new thing is being center left, and he's talking from that position. He's going to talk to 2 congressmen, 2 Democrats, I believe, 2 former Democrats. I don't know their background. I just know they're 2 Democrats. And they even admit, this is a bad look for the Democratic Party. And they're going to try to push back this narrative of, there needs to be a level of decorum. Decorum for what? What was this decorum when you was raiding Trump's house with FBI? Where was that decorum from the Democratic administration? Make it make sense. You want to throw haymakers and then you want to get mad when the haymakers are coming back at you. Make it make sense. You hit us or you weaponize the DOJ, and then when Trump gets in office, dusts himself off, gets in office, wait. We shouldn't weaponize the DOJ after you got to do it. But you don't want your accountability. This is the problem with the Democratic Party. This is why many people, I think this is one of the number one reasons why the Democrats have such a low approval rating. It's because they have no self-awareness as a party. But I digress. Let's get into this Chris Cuomo interview.
Jeffrey Schwartz and former acting ICE director John Sandwig. Good to have you both. Thank you very much. Your Honor, did she break the law?
I think she crossed the line. I think that this is a difficult situation. I think she lost her temper. She wasn't happy about what was going on. She did something she shouldn't do. And I think if you read the statute as it is, she attempted to help him evade being arrested after she was made aware that there was actually a warrant for this particular person. However, I think the government overstepped their bounds in the way that they've handled this with this judge. Generally speaking, a judge who would do something like this, first they would go get an indictment, then a warrant, and then make an arrest. They would not arrest her, release her, let her come back for her first appearance hearing, and make the kind of presentation that they did of her. So I think they overstepped their bounds too. That was intended to intimidate other judges.
Well, but
what about those prosecutions against Trump's people? Trump's people was all getting investigated. Like everything he's saying here, if you just go back 4 years and he said the same thing, everyone would agree with him. Yeah. Joe Biden's doing that. he will make excuses saying, no, that's not what Joe Biden is doing. Joe Biden is trying to hold everyone's accountable. No one's above the law. Remember that, Democrats? Now, no one's above the law is coming back and now there's a level of decorum you're supposed to operate with. But all we have to do is go back. Like these people pretend we don't have the internet. They pretend this is the 1990s where they control every information that's flowing through the TV networks. America got the receipts. We're like, oh yeah, you raided Mar-a-Lago. Oh yeah, you try to keep Donald Trump off the ballot. You were overstepping your bounds. But when the chickens come home to roost, you want to pretend somehow you're innocent. Somehow this is unjustified. Somehow this is unprecedented. Yeah, make it make sense.
Hold on, Your Honor. One is style, one is substance, okay? You know the old expression, you may have the right to do it, but is what you did right? That's a style commentary.
Well, I would say that about the same thing. I would say that the same thing about what the government did. It was more than just that. Instead of going and getting a judge to issue a warrant, they issued an administrative warrant. They did it all on their own because they didn't want anybody else determining probable cause.
But why didn't she let them arrest the guy?
I'm not saying that she was right in doing that. I think that it was a fit of temper on her part to seeing the ICE agents all over her courthouse. I didn't say that that was wrong. I'm just saying I think she had a temper tantrum.
You see his face? He's like, that don't make sense. That don't make sense. You try to cover your butt. This kind of thing makes Democrats look really bad here. This is bad optics for the Democratic Party. Look how hard they fight for a foreign national. Why they don't fight for America? Like, you know how much the Democrats complain about the justice system, yet you don't hear any Democratic judge do the same thing for an American criminal like they do for these foreign illegals. Make it make sense. You don't hear these woke Democratic judges that are all about social justice saying, you're not taking them out of the courthouse. You don't hear them do that for Americans. But for an illegal, they'll do that. Make it make sense. Make it make sense, bro. I'm telling you, Democrats don't got the interests of the American people at heart, bro. They only got their own interests, and whoever can help them satisfy their interests, that's who they side with. And right now is illegals. They know if they get enough illegals in this country, it'll be a one-party country for years, for decades. This is why they vote against the Census Bureau only counting American citizens. This is why they vote against it, because they knew they're going to lose a lot of seats in the House if they go along with those laws. Even though 70% plus Americans agree that only American citizens should be counted as part of the census because only American citizens vote. So if your population numbers equals the amount of congressional seats and the amount of points you count towards the presidential race, you should only count people who can actually vote in those elections, not people who can't vote. And this is a problem that Democrats will have to reckon with. Are they a party that love themselves more than the country? Yes. Or they're actually going to put the country's interests first instead of their own. And to me, it's impossible for Democrats to do that. You see it with their journalists. You see it with their Congress people. Can't even admit that she was in the wrong. And whatever happens is a consequence of her actions. Oh, she threw a Texas transcript. She was acting emotional. That's not an excuse. She still broke the law. And you're pretending that you're trying to create some false justification for it is not a good look.
Yeah. So, John, what are the ICE agents, the Gestapo now? Like, you know, what's going on here when a judge sees ICE agents for a guy who she's got before her for hitting his wife or his domestic partner, and it pisses him off? What does that tell you?
Yeah, Chris, I would like to see the ICE agents just pick him up outside the courthouse or pick him up as he leaves the courthouse. During the Obama administration, as you know, during the Biden administration, we had...
So what? He broke the law. Style. It's like, oh, I don't like the fact that I called you on an iPhone. Like I called you on an Android. You don't like the fact that I called you. Yeah, but it wasn't an Apple phone. I still communicated the message. I'm still upholding the law. Hey, your state didn't want to comply with the law, with ICE. Okay, we said Tom Homan warned all the Democrats, all the Democratic judges this would happen. Hey, if we don't comply, we're going to have to start finding different ways to apprehend the guy that we're looking for. You're not complying with us, so okay, we'll wait for his court date and we'll show up in court. You can't escape now, boy.
sensitive location policy. You couldn't arrest people in courthouse. I think there are good reasons for that. I'm not here to defend this judge. I agree with the judge. I think she overstepped here. I think there are other ways to lodge her objections. But at the end of the day, look, as you say, is ICE the Gestapo? I think the problem here is for ICE, and what bothers me the most, Chris, is that the Trump administration keeps putting them at the tip of the spear on these highly charged cases in a way that's very difficult from a reputational perspective for the agency to ever recover from. But
what reputation? Like not deportations. Like illegal border crossings is down 95% compared to the last year. People are satisfied with the immigration issue, right? Every story, every wrinkle that the media and I told you the media is left-wing activists at this point. Every story, every narrative they try to push out, the information doesn't back up the narrative. Oh, Maryland man gets deported, not an American citizen. It was alleged part of MS-13, has tattoos that signify that he's part of MS-13. Like, this is the funny part with the media. The media is so, they go with whatever's convenient for the narrative at the time. When Pete Hegseth was being considered for Department of the Secretary of Defense, they used the fact that he had Christian tattoos to call him a white nationalist. But then when we use that same logic for the Maryland man, and his tattoos, oh, those are MS-13 tattoos. Oh, he's not, just because he has tattoos like them doesn't mean he's them. But where was that courtesy for Pete Hegseth? This is the kind of narratives that people are tired of from the Democrats and their activists in the journalist media, in the media, the news media. This is hilarious. Like, I think this thing will backfire per usual to the Democratic Party. They're pretending that this is a bad look. It's not. Trump ran on this. Hey, we zero tolerance policy. Tom Homan told you zero tolerance for illegals. If we find you, we're gonna catch you. I saw a story somewhere in Colorado, I believe, that there was an underground nightclub or something, and they caught 100 illegals there. ICE got a sting operation and caught 100 illegals. Americans are applauding right now. And it's the same liberal projection. Liberals are not fine with illegals being deported because they see that as them losing their voters. And then when they can project this imagery or they project this narrative to the American people are actually happy about that because liberals, you're out of touch. What concerns you concerns the average Americans. People are happy that illegals are being deported. Finally, someone's holding the law accountable because we're held accountable to the law. These people need to be held accountable to the law. And they keep trying to put these sob stories in. America's not going for it anymore. People are tired of the little gaslighting that the media does. They went from inflation is transitory to somehow deporting a Salvadorian national as you deported a Maryland man. Oh, a 2-year-old American child got deported with their illegal mother. Then you look into the details. Oh, the illegal mother had full custody of the child and she wanted the child to go with her. Make it make sense. And Marco Rubio pointed out perfectly, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't, because we know the bias of the media would. How can we spin this in a negative way? If they kept the child and they deported the mother, separated families, they say, hey, you going with the mom. Oh my God, he deported the 2-year-old American citizen. It didn't matter what Trump did. You was going to spin it in a negative way. And I think as more and more people come to the realization that news media, journalists is a biased institution, right? Only 3% of journalists are conservative, Republican. That means 97% of them have a bias against conservatives for the most part. When Americans start understanding this, we'll start being able to filter objectively what the mainstream media and how they portray these events accurately. But I digress. Let me know your thoughts and perspective in the comment section below. I'll be interested to hear your thoughts and your perspective on this matter. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. It really does help me out in the algorithm if you share this video. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.